So you've probably heard of the words scholarships and grants before, but if we asked you to tell us the difference between the two, would you be able to do it? If your answer is no, no worries at all, because that is what today's video is all about. We're gonna dive all into the differences between scholarships and grants. So stick around. So let's start off by defining what a scholarship is. So a scholarship is a gift of money awarded to a student to go towards their academic education, and this money typically all goes towards their tuition costs. These scholarships are typically considered merit scholarships, but the biggest differentiator here is that academic scholarships can be merit-based. However, not all merit-based scholarships are for academics. So there you go, people. So merit scholarships are scholarships based entirely off, well, a student's merits. This can be stuff like grades, test scores, extracurricular activities, but they also don't need to be based on academics. It could be based on a student's community service, their volunteer work. Basically, you can find scholarships out there for anything that you're passionate about, not necessarily academics. But because merit-based scholarships are typically the most common, we're gonna dive a little bit more into that. So let's get into it. So as I've mentioned before, there are a lot of different things that factor into a merit scholarship. So let's dive into factor number one, academics. And we have our handy dandy laptop here to help us dive deeper into it. So with these academic scholarships, these can be based on things such as your grades, your GPA, or your excellence on a subject. So some schools and organizations actually offer merit scholarships based on a student's excellence in a particular program, especially for underrepresented majors. Or if you enroll in an honors program in college or have a very high GPA, there's also a chance that you can be awarded a merit scholarship through your school. And for academic scholarships, these could also be based on your test scores. And a lot of the times, merit scholarships will take your SAT scores, your ACT scores, and your GPA and combine that all together and take it into consideration. Now moving on to factor number two, which is extracurricular activities. So in addition to your academic performance, you could actually win a scholarship based on your performance in extracurricular activities. So for example, if you're involved in sports, in theater, and music, there is a chance that you can earn a scholarship for participating in these extracurricular activities. And a good thing about these extracurricular activity scholarships is that it gives students a chance to really show off what they're really passionate about. So for example, if you're an athlete, there are possibility of you earning a scholarship based on your skill in a particular sport. So for example, if you are like the team captain of the soccer team, there is a good chance that you're able to get a scholarship for that. Or if you're really good at visual arts or performing arts, you could also get a scholarship for that too. And honestly, it doesn't end there. There are a lot of scholarships out there that are based on your extracurricular activity experience. And now moving on to factor number three, are scholarships categorized as other? So let's take a look at the handy dandy laptop and dive a little bit more into what other scholarships look like. So for other scholarships, one thing that could be taken into consideration is community involvement. So if you volunteer at a soup kitchen, at an animal shelter, this is categorized as scholarships under the other category. So other scholarships can also take into consideration cultural backgrounds or other demographic factors. For example, of an other scholarship, it could be one available to first-generation Latino students, I'm one of them, I could apply. So apart from cultural background, demographics, and community service, other scholarships can also look for things as leadership activities, such as if you were a president of a club, if you were a team captain, or if you were a part of student government. So now that you know what a scholarship is and the different factors that tie into scholarships, let's move into the distribution of funds. Here we're gonna talk about the different categories of scholarships and how this money is, well, distributed. So of course, the handy dandy laptop knows all, so let's dive right into it. Although merit scholarships have many factors defining them, they can be split into two categories. The first category is scholarships offered by schools and universities. So basically, whatever school you're applying to, 9 times out of 10, they are offering scholarships to their students, but these scholarships are directly through the school itself. So typically, to apply to these, you need to go on the school's website, click a button, go to their scholarships tab, and it's gonna be all through the school directly. And the second category are scholarships offered by private organizations. So for example, Bold.org, that's who we are. We are that private organization scholarship company. So basically, these scholarships are scholarships that are not offered by your school, pretty much any outside scholarship. So for example, on Bold.org, we offer hundreds of thousands of dollars of exclusive scholarships to all students studying in the United States. So if you haven't already, go ahead and create your applicant account and start applying now for your private scholarships. So now that you've learned all about scholarships and the different different categories of scholarships, the question may lie as to how is this money distributed when I win a scholarship? So we're gonna tell you. So when it comes to scholarships, typically 9 times out of 10, all the money is sent directly to the school's financial aid office and goes directly towards your tuition. So typically with scholarships, you don't really see this money in your hand. Like if you win a $10,000 scholarship, you don't get a check in your hand for $10,000, you know? So it goes directly towards your tuition. For example, here at Bold.org, that is what we do. We send the money directly to your school's financial aid office to go directly towards your tuition. And if you're in high school and not already enrolled in school, what we do here at Bold.org is we hold your money in an account. And when you are enrolled in the school, we take the money from that account and send it directly to your school's financial aid office to go where? Directly towards your tuition. Now, the difference here as we move into grants is that grants can be distributed a little bit differently. So typically grants don't always have to go directly towards tuition. They can be split between different costs, such as cost of living, books, or other necessities that you may need. With grants, you're typically able to use this money elsewhere other than tuition. So without further ado, let's move into grants. So according to the handy dandy laptop, grants, unlike scholarships, are not solely reserved for tuition. They're normally need-based and often come from the federal government. So the key difference here between grants and scholarships is that grants, like I mentioned before, are not solely going towards your tuition. So scholarships tend to be more restrictive, whereas grants give a little leeway of where you can put that money towards. That money is still supposed to be used towards your education, but it doesn't necessarily have to just go to your tuition. It can go to other expenses as well. So while scholarships are typically merit-based, grants are almost always need-based, and they take in these two main factors into consideration. And that is number 1, household income, and number 2 is other economic factors. One grant you all may have heard of is the federal Pell Grant, and it's a program that provides low-income students with need-based federal grants. But just like scholarships, grants do not need to be repaid, so they are not like loans. Both scholarships and grants do not need to be repaid. We love to see it. So you've probably already heard of the federal Pell Grant, but if you haven't already, how you can apply for it is by logging onto your FAFSA account and filling out the application form there. And it'll take in all of your household income into consideration when giving out the federal Pell Grant award. And this award also is not a set amount. So whereas scholarships, it's like $10,000 scholarship, and whoever applies for it, they all get that $10,000 depending on how many winners. Whereas grants such as the federal Pell Grant, it may award different amounts to different students based on their need and their household income. But according to the federal Pell Grant on FAFSA, the years 2021 and 2022, the maximum award amount a student can get is $6,495. But the federal Pell Grant is not the only grant that is out there. You can actually use handy dandy Google and search grants near me or local grants or business grants. And through a Google search, you might be able to find different kinds of grants in your area, whether they're offered by local businesses or there's just some other grants that go unnoticed on the internet. So go find them. You could also head over to Bold.org, and in our scholarship search bar, you can type in the word grant to see the grants that we have available on our site. And there you have it, folks. Those were all the differences between scholarships and grants. So by now, we really hope that you could tell the difference. So we hope that you found this video helpful in pursuit of your search for grants and scholarships. So if you guys like this video, please remember to hit that thumbs up button. Remember to share this with some friends that you know need to know the difference between grants and scholarships. And make sure you comment down below more videos you would like to see from us, because we would love to take your ideas into consideration. Oh, and make sure you subscribe because you don't want to miss another video from us. And we will see you next time. Bye, everyone!